So I found this 2001 black Bullitt Mustang listed on Las Vegas Craigslist for $1,000. So I called on it and I talked to the guy, and he was like, "Well, the car's not really 1,000. I need more than that for it, but I really need to get the car sold." And the catch was that the car technically didn't run. And so I asked him, the details on the car, and he told me that the transmission wouldn't shift. And I had a few ideas of what that could mean, but basically the car wasn't running. And the problem was he had taken a title loan out against the car, so he couldn't even drive it to work, and he was about to lose it to the title company. And the car was actually his dad's car, who you could tell the dad took good care of it. He put some aftermarket wheels on it, and stuff that you know that you could tell he was trying to make it nice. I didn't really like the wheels, but anyway, he had an exhaust system on it, and he had the little bullet plaque in the coin delete area. And it turns out he just gave the car to his son. His son moved up from Texas to Vegas and said, "You take the car with you, and you can have it, and it'll help you get started." Well, the guy took the title loan out against it, and next thing you know, he couldn't pay for it. So I said, "Well, what do you need for the car?" And he said, "Well, I'd like to get like 3 grand out of it." So I was like, "Well, okay, I'm okay to pay 3,000 for it, considering it looked like a really nice car." But of course, I was buying something that I had no idea what the details were, and he couldn't really tell me what was wrong with it. So I went down there, and I tried to test drive the car, and I couldn't get it into gear. It turns out that the throwout bearing had seized to the input shaft, so you couldn't shift it. Well, I agreed to go ahead and buy it, and I went down with the title company, and the title loan was for like $2,800, and I gave him the 3,000 that he wanted. So basically, I got his car, and he got 200 bucks in his pocket. So my cousin, who has a black Bullitt himself, went down with me and helped me go get the car, and we got the car running. We got going down the street, and I was just power shifting it through the gears to get it to shift, to get it to where it needed to go. And I noticed that it was out of gas, of course, and so I pulled into a gas station, and I was already trying real hard not to make any extra stops or you know go anywhere I didn't have to go. I just wanted to get the car home. And what was really scary that he told me later that I didn't know is right here at the gas pump, when I cranked the car over, because of how the flywheel was, or because of something, the way that the input shaft was bound up on the bearing, it started shooting sparks all underneath the car, and I had no idea. I was totally oblivious to what was going on, and everyone was staring at me and watching these sparks fly from out from under the car. So that was actually pretty scary. So anyway, I got out of the gas station, got going down the road, and I was happy once I got onto the freeway and had it in fifth gear. And you could hear a humming noise down there. I knew something was wrong, and um, but the car was all right to drive until I got through a section of the freeway called the Gorge. The Gorge is a really interesting place between Nevada and Utah, where it's a deep, deep canyon. And as you're going through the gorge, they had a lot of construction going on, and they had it down to one lane. And sure enough, some work truck pulled out right in front of me as I'm going through the gorge, and it was nighttime now, and I had to slow down to 30 miles an hour. And the next thing I knew, I was trying to get it into any gear I could, and it wouldn't go. It wouldn't go into third or second or anything. I'd rev up the engine and try to power match it with the transmission, and I couldn't get any gear, and I was slowly creeping to a stop with all this traffic behind me. But finally, I was able to rev up the engine just right and slide it into third gear. So I stayed in third gear all the way through the gorge until I got out of there, and then I was back in the normal freeway, headed back up towards Utah, and was able to get it back into fifth gear. But man, that was quite an experience. So anyway, I got the car home safe, got it into my side yard, came out the next morning, cleaned it up, and man, the paint on this car looked amazing. The hood scoop wasn't faded at all. The paint on the fenders was nice. The body paint, every part of it was nice. It was very reflective and nice deep paint for a black car. You know, I expected it to be pretty trashed, but it just shows that the dad who had it before really loved the car and took really good care of it. And it just was misfortune to the guy that he had to take a loan out against it and basically lose the car because of poor circumstances. But anyway, it turned out to be a really nice car. I really liked it. And so now I'm thinking, man, I want to keep this car. Like, I really want to, you know, just daily drive it. It was a really nice running car. But anyway, it had a nice Borla exhaust on it, and you know, like you can see the wheels and stuff in the picture. But anyway, the next thing I had to do was pull that transmission off and see what was wrong with it. I had no idea whether I was going to have to replace the whole transmission or if the throwout bearing was seized, or which it was, and if that was going to damage the input shaft. And anyway, so I went ahead and I got together with my friend who came over and had a lot of interest in the car, and you know, we were talking about the car, and he had a red Mach 1 at the time, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? I really want this this Bullitt." And I said, "Yeah, I like it. It's a nice car. I bought it just kind of to see what it needed and maybe, you know, sell it, make a little profit off it or whatever." And so he was like, "Hey, you know what? I really would like to have this as a daily driver. So why don't you just, you know, just sell it to me, and I'll take good care of it." And I said, "You know what? If you're gonna keep it, if you're gonna keep the car, I'll give it to you for what I paid for it." You know, because we were friends, and you know, I really thought that, you know, our friendship was something that he respected as much as I did. So I went in and I helped him pull the transmission in my side yard. He bought a clutch kit for it, and we did all the work together, and I ended up just selling it to him for what I paid for it. Now, I did benefit from it a little bit because I got the seats out of it and switched them with my Bullitt seats because mine were in worse shape. And I did take the wheels, and I sold those wheels to get a better set of deep dish wheels that I liked better. So with the new clutch in the car and everything, it ran beautiful. It shifted smooth. Everything was fine. I was surprised at that throw-up bearing. We could just beat it off, clean up that input shaft, put a new bearing in with a new clutch kit, and it was just great. So he had the car. He drove it for about a month. You can see he put some Mach 1 wheels on it for the time being, and he, you know, we enjoyed just doing car stuff together. He pulled the springs out and cut a coil off. You know, he'd do that with all his Mustangs. He'd like to lower them and make them look good. And he did a good job making them look good. You know, some people disagree with cutting your springs instead of getting lowering springs, but anyway, the car looked good, and he took care of it. And he put some new headlights in it, some darker headlights, and he ended up, here's a cool picture of him at work at night. I'd go over and see his car there at work, and he had the Mach 1 wheels on it and stuff. But anyway, he ended up getting a really nice set of black Bullitt wheels for it. And so here's a picture of it with the black Bullitt wheels on, the tinted headlights and everything, and it looked good. And the only thing that was bad about the deal was about a month later I noticed he listed it for sale, and he ended up selling it for like $6,500. So he like doubled the money that he paid for it, you know, kind of at my expense with what I did to work on it, help him put the clutch in and everything. So that kind of hurt our friendship a little bit. But anyway, he sold it to a kid that I actually knew, and the kid I knew, here's a picture of him with my cousin's black Bullitt. And so we were all three driving our Bullets around together, having fun. And then he had it for a little while, and he ended up selling it for like $7,500 or something like that. So now he's made money. They both made money off the car, and the car went down back to Las Vegas. And the guy who bought it, last I saw, he had it listed for like $10,000 or something. And I know it sold, and I don't know what he got out of it, but anyway, I would go down to the racetrack in Las Vegas to watch the drag races. You know, I used to participate in the drag races a lot. I'd go almost every time they had it and race my Bullitt. But I was down there in the stands watching, and sure enough, I saw the black Bullitt going down the track, and they were enjoying it, and it was shifting smooth and everything. And it was really fun to see it at the racetrack. It was a nice car. So that's just the short time I had it, a little experience of a black Bullitt that I owned for a little bit, and I really liked it. It's a nice car, you know. The number is on that coin slot picture, so if somebody knows where the car is, you can comment below. And if it's your car, then you know I have a little bit of history with it, and I could tell you some details. But the car looked good. I really liked it. It was fun to have them when we were all driving around together. So I hope you like this story. I really do. I have a lot of stories like this. I've owned 13 Mustangs now, and I'm going to try to make a video about each of them and share this. So like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed it.